For the first time, I am Szu-Moy, and we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. So if you've not gone over to my YouTube channel to subscribe, please do, and hit the bell to get all of the latest content as soon as it is uploaded. How much coffee did I have today? A lot.
I didn't see how many cups you drank, but it was pretty strong. It was cowboy coffee.
It's cowboy coffee. So we're in Arizona right now. Cheers. I've got my bestie here, Autumn Davis, with us, and it is Friday the 13th. So cheers to that. Cheers to Friday, TGIF. Cheers to the weekend. Hopefully you guys are done with a week that has been either good or bad. It doesn't matter, but we are here at the weekend. And so we get to let our hair down. We get to relax for a little bit and drink some delicious Italian red wine. So cheers, you guys. So it is one of those spooky Fridays. Friday the 13th. And so, yes, we are with my beautiful Autumn Davis. I love you. Yay! And again, we're in Arizona. It is absolutely, you can't see the backdrop. We'll probably post it later after this is done. But the mountain range and being out here, it's just stunning. It's gorgeous. But yeah, welcome back because you were here with us last August. So,
yeah,
all right.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. We were talking about camp and the echelon and everything Mars because,
yeah.
Oh, by the way, for all of our echelon folks out there, hello, our echelon fam bam. And who's ready for some new music from 30 Seconds to Mars?
It's about damn time.
I know. Can't wait for it. So let's talk a little bit about why the number 13 has been deemed the unlucky number, which folklorists actually started reportedly recording back in the 1800s. So you want to give us a little bit of kind of like, because you're into like all the numbers and different things like that. So the number 13, like what is, what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, historically wise, not that I'm an expert on the subject in any manner whatsoever. Historically wise, there have been a lot of unfortunately bad events associated with Friday the 13th. It always happened to be Friday, and it was the 13th for some odd reason. The most, probably the farthest back going is going to be the unlucky association of the Last Supper with Jesus, and the 13th guest to arrive was Judas Iscariot. So bad luck there. Bad luck way back when. And then Dan Brown noted it in his book, what's it, Angels and Demons, I believe. They talk about the Knights Templar. There was, King Philip IV of England or France? I can't remember. He arrested all the Templars during that time. And there was a mass execution or something along those lines. Of very, very, very bad.
But you also notice, like, with just, you have those events that have like the unlucky number, like it lands on 13 or whatever the case may be. But then you also have like, just, you notice like in our travels, just in the Western world, you'll have within your own travels, and I'm sure most of you guys have noticed too, in America and other places, you're going to see that there's no floor number 13, there's no elevator number 13, there's on
no
a
13th row on an aircraft.
Right. And it's you always see that they just omit that. It'll be 12,
and they'll just skip it.
And then it'll go on to like 14 or 15, something, whatever.
Just skip it all together.
Yeah, but we were researching just a little bit about some of the folklore and some of the different superstitions and things. And what's ironic and pretty fun to note is in Asia.
Yeah.
What is the unlucky number there?
4. You don't have a 4th floor and elevators. I mean, of course there is, but it's not denoted as the number 4. And they don't talk about it. 4 is unlucky in all of Asia. But when you look at numerology and the number 13, 1 plus 3 is what?
Is 4.
4.
So
there's a little bit of weirdness there. But 4 in the Western world is not considered unlucky. In fact, 4 in numerology is the number of stability.
Yeah, it's ironic how you see those two similarities on those two planes.
Yeah.
In Europe and in America and stuff like that, you don't see 13, but 3 plus 1 is 4. And in Asia, it's like 4, bad.
Yeah,
not good.
it's weird the connection there, but it happens to be it's almost the same number. It is the same number, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're both deemed unlucky.
Yes, derivative of. So,
Weirdly enough.
so tell us a little, again, going back to numerology, and then you're into that, and also the tarot cards and the different things like that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what 13 and also 4 means in those cards.
Well, 4 in the tarot,
Mhm.
the 4, like for instance, the 4 of Wands. It's 2 wands with garlands connecting the wands, and there's a couple in the middle of them, and it looks like a Hindu wedding ceremony.
Mhm.
So 4 of Wands in tarot is always a good card. It denotes stability, and they call it the marriage card when you draw that card.
Mhm.
4s in the tarot really aren't. No, it's not a bad number. It's a good one whenever you get a 4, typically. I mean, depending on which suit it is that you draw, but the 4 of Wands is one of the happier cards in the deck. Let's see, but that's in the minor arcana, and the major arcana 4 is the Emperor. The Emperor is the ultimate stability. He's the ruler. He puts his fist down and he makes sure things go in the right way.
Mhm.
He's the king of kings. You have 4 kings in the deck, but he's the king of all those kings because he's the emperor. So again, it's a number of stability and power. But the number 13 in the tarot, you don't have a 13th in the minor arcana, because the minor arcana only go from ace to 10, and then page, knight, queen, king.
Mhm.
But in the major arcana, though, the number 13 is the death card.
But the number, so the number 13, so the death card, it's kind of a big deal. So the death card,
Everybody hates drawing that card. You see
Right.
people run. They're like, oh no, but it doesn't mean death. Death is symbolic in the tarot. When you draw the death card, death symbolizes it symbolizes the end of a cycle, because you have to have something die to start something new.
yeah,
So it's actually not a bad card at all.
sort of like a rebirth, as you would
rebirth.
see.
A
Yeah.
rebirth. With every death, there's always a rebirth. So death is actually a good card if you're looking to end a cycle or become, getting out of a trapped cycle that you're in. The death card is always a good card to see.
Yeah.
Whether you need to end a cycle or not. If you get the death card, be sure to know changes are coming, and it's probably not for the best. Not for the worst. It's going to be for the best.
Not for the worst, for the best.
Yes.
So again, the good and the bad between the Friday the 13th and that superstition. And historically, we've also had some pretty unlucky events. You've talked about a couple of them, the older ones, like, again, going back to the beginning, the Last Supper, and having guest number 13 being Judas Iscariot, and then also the Knights Templar. But we've also had some other events that surround the number 13. So talk to us about Apollo 13.
Oh yeah, well, the Apollo 13 moon landing was supposed to be the 3rd landing on the moon, but something went haywire with their oxygen system with one of their tanks and sparked something, so they weren't able to land at all on the moon. In fact, they were lucky to make it back. They had to somehow, the science team had to work overnight, literally camp out in cots in NASA and the space station to get these guys home. But yeah, unluckily, it happened to happen on the mission was called Apollo 13. They also made a play on it too, that like they were going to land at like the 13th degree or something on the moon. They were playing around with it. And it kind of backfired on them a little bit.
Yeah. So unlucky,
but yet they still all made it back safely and unharmed, thankfully. But then also, like more recently, you had in 1972 the Uruguayan rugby team that crashed in the Andes Mountains. That was on a Friday the 13th, which the movie Alive is based off of, which we all know is a true story, and to resort to cannibalism. Where only I don't know how many made it back, but they definitely didn't all make it back.
No,
but that happened
like 45, something like 45 on the entire plane, and then I think only months before they actually were found. They had to resort to cannibalism.
Well, yeah, the 2 of them had to hike out into the wilderness for them in order to be found.
Yeah,
and then there's 72 days after they crashed.
And then I think 16 or so
16
were the ones that actually got back. So that's kind of crazy. There was a cyclone in India that happened on a Friday the 13th.
Bangladesh killed 300 people. I think.
Yeah.
And then also there was the cruise liner in Italy that crashed.
Oh, Costa.
On
Mhm.
Friday the 13th as well.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of little weird things. That,
Mhm.
I mean, is it the number 13 or is it just unluckily this happened to happen on this day? I think
Yeah.
statistically it just happened to randomly happen on these days. I don't really think there's anything unlucky about the number 13.
Mm-hmm. What about, even more recent, September 1996.
Oh, yeah.
Death of Tupac.
Yeah, Tupac.
Tupac was also on a Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So there was also some Black Friday fires in Australia that happened on Friday the 13th, and then something happened in England, in the UK.
That was during World War II in Buckingham Palace. The Nazis bombed Buckingham Palace. That got the chapel, I think, on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody died during that one.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of spooky things surrounded by the number 13. I mean, Friday the 13th, I know in tattoo parlors is just like, hey, we're getting a tattoo of the number 13 and it's free for you on Friday the 13th. So if you thought that number was unlucky, it's now branded to you. Big time. But it's fun and interesting to kind of just go over some of these things. And I grabbed this little tidbit off of the net about having 13 letters in your first and last name was also considered unlucky. And if you think about that, you're like, okay, 13 letters. Okay, how many letters in my name? First and last, not middle, just first and last. Okay, we're
gonna add up mine.
Yeah, we got to figure it out and da da da. And then so some of these people, so it's considered unlucky, but some of these people, like I don't know, Charles Manson, 13 letters, first and last name. Jeffrey Dahmer, Adolphus Hitler, that was his birth name. Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden.
That's crazy,
right?
That's so weird. I have 12 in my name.
Okay.
With my birth name.
Brava. Brava. Yeah, we'll stick with that. That's good. But yeah, so there was a lot of bad that the number 13 is associated with. But then you also like to look at the positive of things. So tell us a little bit about the good that you've experienced with the number 13.
Adversely, in numerology, 13 is a sacred, divine feminine number. There are 13 lunar cycles. Therefore, have 13 cycles a year. So it's associated with femininity and the divine aspect of that. So it's not considered a bad number in numerology. They call it a master creator number, I believe. But like from personal experience, I've never had any bad luck on Friday the 13th. I know a lot of people that actually have it as their good luck day versus their bad luck day. My dad was one of them. He's like, I'm with us anymore.
Cheers.
This would be his lucky day. So
yeah.
Cheers, Dad. Last Friday the 13th, the very last one that I can remember, I was working, and I had this big table of like 7 people. It's like 6 or 7 people, and the 2 men at the table, it was them with their mom and dad and their wives, and the 2 men were twins, and it was their birthday, and it happened to be Friday the 13th. And I said, how cool is that? Your birthday is Friday the 13th. I think it's cool. I don't think it's an unlucky number. I'm the opposite of that superstition. I think it's cool. And they're like, yeah, it is actually kind of cool. Sometimes it's on Friday the 13th and you can kind of celebrate it that way. That's cool and quirky. And I mentioned that it was my dad's lucky day and that he wasn't with us anymore. And then when they got up to leave, they'd already paid their tab with a credit card. And as they were walking out, I was super busy. I had a full section. They walked up to me and handed me their ticket with a wad of cash in it. And I didn't even think that they'd already paid with their credit card. I just thought they were paying me because they had to leave. And I'm like, yeah, sure, go. And then I looked and I'm like, no, they already paid. They left me the entirety of their bill in
as
cash,
a tip.
as a tip.
Wow.
With a note and a quote from the Bible. And it was awesome. Like in memorandum of Dad. It was cool. Yeah, it was really cool. It made my Friday the 13th extremely lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely made it one of those that I'll never ever forget. Like my dad finding, a 20 on the ground or whatever. Was what always happened with him.
With
on
him,
Friday
he
the
always
13th.
found
Yeah,
money.
I'd be walking down the street and a 20 had blown his face or something. No one to return it, because it's not like it was sitting underneath somebody's chair at a restaurant or bar that just like blew in his face. That's why he always had it as a lucky day.
Aw.
Yeah, I know. And so that was really cool when they did that for me. And I'm like, yeah, this is the super lucky day. I love this day.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah. It was cool. It was
That's
one
awesome.
I'll never forget.
Any other ones that are like were good connotations as opposed to bad ones for that Friday the 13th?
For Friday the 13th,
Mhm.
that's the one that stands out in my mind the most. But I remember Dad had several little just tidbits of stories where something everybody else has bad luck on the day, but he would always have good luck. I can't remember any other. He said he'd always find money.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and my boyfriend as well, Hushkay, he always has good luck on Friday the 13th as well. Yeah,
So
it's good. To know.
So good and bad. Take it as you will. But if you have any fun, I guess, stories of Friday the 13th, stories of your own, please let us know. We'd love to hear it. But thank you for coming on. I hope everybody has an amazing Friday the 13th and an amazing weekend. A lucky and amazing Friday the 13th. And cheers, you guys. It's the weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Take care.